Good morning, I'm Adam Sexton. Senate campaign summer continues here on Close Up. We're checking in with all the candidates. And the most recent to join the political fray is a Republican state senator who wants to make the jump to Washington. Dan Innes joins us in studio. Senator, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
So you made a run for Congress in 2014. You've represented two different parts of the state in the state Senate. So you're coming into this with a little bit more of a statewide footprint than most. But still, let's hear from you a little bit about your background and why you're running for U.S. Senate.
Yeah, you know, this is an interesting race, and it's one that I know a number of us have been sort of watching for a little while. With Senator Shaheen announcing she's retiring, the seat becomes open. It sort of changes the dynamic, Adam. And it's an opportunity, I think, for someone to really take our New Hampshire values down to Washington, D.C. And I would argue that hasn't really been happening over the last decade or so, right? We've got a fellow who wants the seat, and Chris Pappas, who's been in Washington for the last 6 years. It's kind of been where he's hung out. And I would argue he's lost a little bit of touch with what's happening on the ground here in our state, and that's really important. The other fellow in the race, Scott Brown, I sort of make the same argument. He ran for this seat in 2014. Now he's running for it again. But in those 10 years, between those two runs, I've been working at UNH with our young people, getting to understand them and their issues, looking at what keeps them in our state, what sends them away, what job opportunities we need to really keep our young people here. And as you pointed out, I've represented two very different districts in our state. One on the Seacoast when I lived in Newcastle, and now over in Bradford with 22 towns. And they're both phenomenal places, but exceptionally different. And again, being on the ground with my constituents, with the businesses I've been involved with the young people in our state, I think I'm better positioned than anyone for this seat. You layer onto that the fact that I'm a business professor and understand the economy and the issues that are facing our state immediately, as well as in the future, and the nation. I think I'm really well qualified for this seat.
Hey, you touched on the two other sort of major players in the orbit of this race right now, but specifically in this Republican primary, what separates you on policy from Senator Brown?
Well, I think there are a lot of things. I mean, I tend to be very focused on the economy. That's where I sit. I understand the economy. I understand the budget, the deficit, and the debt. And I'll take you back to 2014. You mentioned that first congressional run. Back then, I was talking about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and the fact that we needed a plan, we needed a strategy to fix these things. We still need that. You know, I'm 62, and if I don't win this race, I'll retire when I'm 70, right? So I'm looking at that, and they're saying, well, we might have to cut your benefits. Wait, what? I paid into this thing for so long. We can't let that happen. We simply cannot let that happen. So we need someone who understands those things and can work on legislation to fix it. It's that simple. The deficit and the debt will eat us up if we don't get that under control. Again, I have an understanding of that. But I also teach strategy. It's one of the things I've taught over the years. And the government doesn't have a strategy. And we need a strategy. It's time for us to look forward, think forward. And one of the things I'll say about President Trump, and there are many good things to say about him, he has a little bit of a strategy. Not everyone understands it, and they say, oh, it's chaos and so on. But he has ultimate goals that he wants to get to, and we can disagree about how to get to them. But that is the thinking we need, but we need it in a broader way in Washington, D.C.
How do you get that Trump endorsement? It's such an important thing these days in Republican primaries.
Yeah. Well, I think if you look at it, I mean, Mr. Brown made some disparaging comments about the president when he came back from his ambassadorship. I think that's an issue for him. But the president is looking forward, right? He's asking the question, who can beat Chris Pappas next November? And he's going to support that candidate that he thinks can do that. And for some of the reasons we've just discussed, and there are others, I think I'm that candidate. I'm working hard to earn that endorsement. We're working the fundraising. We're getting out there. I was in Salem last night with the GOP there, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm working hard, I'm loving it, and I think the president and his team are probably watching this race, because this is one of the top 5 races for the National Republican Senatorial Committee and probably for the president. So they're going to look at this race, they're going to play in this race, and this is a seat that, in my opinion, should be a Republican seat. We have a strong governor who won by 12 points. I won my R+4 district by 13 points. We're appealing to the independents that are such an important part of our state because we've got the right message. You know, low taxes, small government, let's work on the economy, let's fix the entitlement program, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and let's be responsible in governing. We were sent to Concord with supermajority in the Senate with our terrific governor and with a nice majority in the House, because the people of New Hampshire trust us to fix these things. And I'm one of those 24 senators that's worked really hard to do that, and I'll continue that in Washington.
You've really put yourself out in front of this Trump-driven effort to do congressional redistricting, again, mid-decade.
Yes.
Make the case. Why should New Hampshire redraw its maps mid-decade?
Yeah, I think there are a number of reasons. One particular reason, though, is the shift we've seen in our population over just the last few years, right? Since COVID, we've seen the seacoast pick up a lot more people, and you're sort of seeing a weighting of the population even a little further southeast than it was before. And I think you want to capture that and have 2 districts where the population is relatively balanced. I also think you want fair representation. And we've seen in some states, Massachusetts being one, where 40% of the people or so vote Republican. They don't have a single Republican person representing them in Washington, D.C. because they're so gerrymandered. I don't want to gerrymander. I just want to be sure we have accurate districts that reflect our state and apportion political positions where they should be.
It's not a gerrymander, but you want a district the Republican is probably going to win, right?
Well, I mean, I'd be lying if I said otherwise. So yeah, sure. But that's the way this works, and it's worked this way forever. California, New York, Michigan, and others. I mean, there's a district in Illinois. It's hard to even describe it. It looks like a snake that was run over by a truck a few times. It's so twisted and mutilated.
But the idea is that happens once every decade.
That's correct.
Isn't it a little bit of a partisan escalation to do it potentially? I mean, if you do it in the middle, why not do it every cycle?
Under normal circumstances, I'd say yes. But because of the shifts we saw during COVID, because of the large immigration numbers, I think the time now is probably right to at least take a look at it. Should we do it? I don't know. But let's take a look at it and consider whether or not we should.
And you don't think this could backfire in some way with independent voters, those swing voters? It's such a bare-knuckled political move.
It is, but I don't think so. I think, New Hampshire voters are smart. They look at the issues, they look at the situation, they understand.
Tariffs. You're a professor of business, as you noted. These are higher taxes on trade. Do you really think the economy is going to get better because of them?
I think eventually it will help us. And a couple points on this. First off, I think the best tariff situation is no tariffs anywhere, right? All countries, drop your tariffs, let's have free and open trade, and may the best companies win. And that's what will happen. And that's always been my approach. I want government to stay out of things, and tariffs are government intervention. So let's get them out, let's get rid of them, and move on. I graduated high school in a small town called Lancaster, Ohio. And in 1981, when I graduated, there were 9 factories in that town. 9. There's 1 left, and it's a shell of its former self. It's the most tragic thing I've ever seen. And the big industry in my hometown now, meth. That's happened all over this country. We don't see it as much here in New Hampshire because we don't make as much, and we never really have, at least since the textile mills really started going, the paper mills. But we've got to bring that back. It's in our national security interest to have a strong economy that makes things. When you're relying on China for all of your antibiotics, think about what would happen if they decided they're no longer going to sell them to us. What are we going to do? How long would it take us to get there? We can't allow that to happen. We've got to be able to support ourselves as well. I think the tariffs push us in that direction. And note, it's really brought companies or countries to the table. They're talking to the president. They're trying to work things. And, while it hasn't been elegant the way it's been handled, and I don't know, I might do it differently, but I have enormous respect for Mr. Bessent in particular. And a lot of the other leadership in Washington. I think Trump's doing the right thing with the tariffs. It is a longer game than a couple weeks, right?
The cost of living is going to go up, though, right? And this is the one thing that voters say they don't want.
See, I'm not convinced of that yet. And I don't want to get too deep into the supply chain and how it works. But really, that part of a product that carries the tariff is usually early in the distribution process where the price is lower. So on a $100 sweater, you might see a $3 tariff impact. Not a big deal, and it happens just once. It's not inflationary. This doesn't continue. It's one time. But again, back to my point, I don't want any tariffs. Let's have all free trade.
For the record, I don't own any $100 sweaters. I don't know. The president's talked about creating...
Macy's is carrying them.
I was going to say.
Every sweater is going to be $100 the rate we're going.
The president's talked about creating a pathway to citizenship for farm workers who are here illegally. Yeah. This is a real sore point. Are you willing to go there? This will be amnesty for some of these people, but it will help the economy.
Yeah. The president is pragmatic on this, and I appreciate that. I think it could be a slippery slope, right? At the same time, a lot of farms, not so much here in New Hampshire, maybe some in Maine with blueberries and so on, need that labor source. And we've always had seasonal farm workers. So I don't know if amnesty is the right way to do it, but certainly allowing them to become permanent residents, I think, is probably fine. But here's what we want, Adam. We want people to follow the process. And when it comes to immigration, one of the big problems we have is the process, right? It needs to be easier to get in here. It needs to cost less. It needs to be faster. One way to stop illegal immigration is to make the legal process much simpler. And that, I think, should be one of the things the country's looking at.
All right, Senator Ennis, thanks for joining us on Close Up. We'll see you out there on the trail.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll be right back with the Democratic candidate for mayor of Manchester, Jessica Spillers.